I'm going to confess at the start here that I'll probably go over my time limit because there's just so much to talk about with our partnership that we have going on in Mozambique, Africa. But I'd like to start with just a little overview of Africa. There's 56 countries in it. It makes up 1.2 billion people in the continent. And projections are by 2050, it's going to be 2 billion people, up from 1.2. And by the year 2100, it'll be 4.1 billion people. And the other thing about this map is a lot of people don't understand how big geographically the country of Africa is. So what's cool about this map is land-wise, if you put the United States, most of Europe, India, China, Japan in there, that's how much land space the continent of Africa takes up. Africa is made up of two extremes: safaris, wildlife, great natural wonders. But there's the other extreme where 43% of the population lives on less than $2 a day. And of that, starvation is, and malnutrition is a big part of it, and a lot of it is in sub-Saharan Africa. So if you do the population calculations of what they're projecting, the next 2 billion people that come on this planet from the current 7.5 billion people, is that 2 billion people is going to happen in sub-Saharan Africa, where the greatest malnutrition is. So I got a little video that we put together back in the fall of 2012, and if you can start that.
Mozambique is a country full of potential. Formerly Portuguese East Africa, Mozambique gained independence after devastating civil wars and famine from 1977 to 1992. Over 1 million lives were lost, wiping out an entire generation and destroying educational and agricultural infrastructure across the country. Now a presidential republic, Mozambique boasts the 5th fastest growing economy in the world, but remains one of the poorest countries in Africa. While Mozambique is full of untapped natural resources, including iron, gold, titanium, natural gas, and the largest coal reserves in the world, the economy continues to rely on agriculture. Less than 6% of Mozambique is under cultivation, but agriculture supports 80% of the population. With less than 30 million chickens, Mozambique continues to rely heavily on imports of meat and livestock. Average egg consumption in Europe and North America is around 250 eggs per person a year, while Mozambique is only 30 eggs per person per year. Eggs are an excellent source of nutrition and protein. In 2012, a World Egg Day event took place in Nampula to demonstrate the importance of eggs to the local population. Backpacks, t-shirts, and eggs were given out at local schools, while children were educated about eggs.
So part of that video is missing, but which is good. That'll help me stay in my time limit. So our project in Mozambique, we partnered with two brothers, and we created 3 businesses out of this partnership. And one is called New Horizons. And New Horizons has 5 umbrellas underneath it. They have a broiler production, a broiler breeder production, feed milling, grain purchasing. They have a hatchery, and they have a broiler processing. They're currently hatching about 120,000 eggs a week, between layers and broilers, and they're processing about 75,000 broilers a week through the processing plant. The other company is Eggs for Africa, and they have about a 50,000 bird laying operation capacity. They also do the egg marketing for the 2 egg companies, and they also have a crocodile farm that we use as our rendering plant to take care of the mortality and the processing that comes from the broiler processing plant. Mozambique Fresh Eggs is a company that Center Fresh, that we're in partnership with New Horizons and Egg for Africa. We also have a 50,000 bird laying capacity for layers. We also have breeders to do the eggs for the hatchery, and then we have a 50,000 bird pullet operation to grow and sustain the layer operation farms. We also started about a year and a half ago a well drilling company. It was donated by my brother's church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We bought this well drilling machine, brought it over there, and we use it to dig wells on the farm with our outgrowers. Andrew currently has about 200 outgrowers in the community that are growing broilers for the processing plant. We also have government contracts, local community, and we also drill wells for schools. We also have a brick production operation, and that's to build churches, local housing, community schools, and various buildings around the farm. So of these 3 businesses, Mozambique Fresh Eggs, Eggs for Africa, and New Horizons, we take the money, the profits that come from that, and we turn it over to the schools and the churches. So one of the schools that we got is Rupali International School. And this past year, we had 150 students. This current year that starts this week, we have 185 projected kids, and we had to turn 30 kids away because we can't raise enough capital to build the buildings fast enough to meet the demand. And the other cool thing about these 180 students is it represents between 27 and 30 different nationalities that attend this school. And it's designed, right now it's K through 10th grade, and as the 10th graders go, we'll end up K through 12th grade. And our prize thing here, school, is what we call Ebenezer Training Center. And we have one in Zimbabwe that's been just celebrated its 10th anniversary this year, and the Mozambique Ebenezer, which we're in our 5th year of operation. And what Ebenezer training centers are designed to do is teach 17 to roughly 22, 23, 24-year-olds how to grow crops, how to do vegetables and produce, how to do dairy, how to do broiler operations, how to do layer operations. And it's a 2-year training program for these students of how to do these different processes. And during that 2 years, these students are given a piece of property of roughly an acre of ground, and that's their ground for the 2 years. And whatever they produce off of there, money-wise, is they are able to keep half of that for their own self, half of it comes back to us to cover overhead and running costs of these training students. And you can see that we train them in everything from bird health to cage and cage-free layers, broilers and dairy. And these are a picture of a couple of the buildings that you can see by that Ebenezer dorm building, those bricks that we use in that brick-making machine to build this building. And our first class of students was in 2013, and our graduating class of 2015. We also do the One Egg program, and our motto there is building better citizens for a better nation. And one of the things that was a problem is how do you boil eggs for these? And currently we're doing it over an open fire in 3 pots. And I come up with a design from Feenhog. We toured their operations in January, and I come across this machine that they use to sanitize egg flats in, and I says, can you take that square tub and boil water in it? And they said yes, and I told them about our program, and they said they were willing to donate an egg boiling machine that was just delivered here at the end of July. And currently our One Egg program, we're providing eggs in 2 different schools, government-run schools. And you can see by these pictures, the top right picture there, that is a typical rural community school where it's just a dirt building with a thatched roof. No textbooks, no chalkboard, sometimes no teachers. The kids come and go as they want. But what we found is doing this One Egg program, these kids now are coming every day, and the teachers are coming every day to school, to class, because we're doing these eggs 5 days a week. And our goal is to reach 5,000 eggs in 5 years. And I was privileged to witness giving these eggs out to a new school, the second new school, back in 2015. And we handed them out, and some kids started eating the egg without even taking the shell off. So these kids have never experienced what an egg is. We also started this past year a Binnacle outreach program where we go out into these remote communities. And I kid you not, these are untouched communities in Mozambique that it's just hard to fathom that this still exists here in the world. But these communities are unreached communities of 16 to 20,000 people. So we got a doctor and a nurse that goes out to this community along with a team where we teach basic health and hygiene, where these people are limited to having no medical access, and we provide training and supplies. And the picture on the lower left is our nurse, and the student that's beside him is a graduate of our Ebenezer training system. And what he does is, while we're seeing patients all day long, he's in the community teaching how to grow crops and how to do produce and how to do things properly so that they can increase their production. And then we're trying to get into the commercial outlayer program of how do we get into these small communities and that it's tangible to these. So I've developed this over the last 2 years of I go there to Mozambique about 2-3 times a year, and I come up with this thing of a one-section cage system that, in this case, it happens to be Big Dutchman. But this single unit can hold 112 chickens. It costs roughly $650 US. That's a little cheaper than what it costs to buy a motorbike. Most people in Mozambique, their mode of transportation is walk. Their next step up is a bicycle. Their next step up from that is a motorbike. So a motorbike costs $750. So this is a tangible thing that they can get into a business. And so if a producer buys this set of cages, he can market the eggs in his own community, and whatever he can't market or get rid of in its own community, we're willing to buy back for a fee. And then last November, the president of Mozambique came and visited our farm during the poultry show. They decided they wanted to have the poultry show in the north, which is where we're located. The capital is Nampula, Maputo, which is way in the south. And when they decided they were going to have it up north in Nampula, they said, well, let's just have it on Andrew Cunningham's farm. So the president came, toured the farm, and he liked our single cage unit that he actually has 2 single cage units setting in his palace. And his comment was 2 months ago when he visited Andrew again, he said, my guards have never been so well fed. And he says, my egg production is about 95%. So, Communities of Fusion is started by 2 brothers back in 2004, Peter and Andrew Cunningham. They're selfless, they're humble, they're servant-minded. And this is what we started out with, business as a missions model. We had 3 things: farming, egg production, and education is what we wanted to achieve. And since 2009, when we started this, we've got all these businesses under those 3 headlines. And it's made a worldwide impact and connections with people right here in the room. We had the Egg Farmers of Canada, Tim Lambert, and his team come down and visit us. I've been to Swaziland to their Project Canaan twice. Joanne Ivey was the chairman here at IEC. She's been down, and it's just a great connection here with the IEC family here to be a part of this family. And future outreaches that we have is we want to start more Ebenezer's around the country. We've toured Zambia this past year and looking at possible sites there, and ABBA centers, which would be an outreach after an Ebenezer. If these students don't know what they want to do yet, these ABBA centers would be doing the same thing, but then the students would be running them. So with that, that's my presentation.